Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Yende. Let me start with a question. What if one of the most stressful performance environments in modern life isn't the boardroom, isn't the operating room, isn't the sports field, but the bedroom? For millions of people, some form of performance anxiety is a very real experience, and yet almost no one talks about it openly, not because it is uncommon, but because it is deeply personal, because it can feel embarrassing, because it is often misunderstood, and because it is so frequently wrapped in shame and silence. Today, we're exploring one of the most fascinating intersections of neuroscience, wearable technology, psychology, and human connection. Can wearable biofeedback help us understand performance anxiety more clearly? Can real-time physiological data reveal what is actually happening inside the nervous system during moments of intimacy? And could this technology eventually help transform anxiety into confidence? Welcome to the science of intimacy in the digital age. The hidden epidemic. Most people assume performance anxiety is purely psychological. They think of it as a problem of confidence, a lack of self-esteem, or maybe just inexperience. But neuroscience tells us something more nuanced. Performance anxiety is fundamentally biological. In these moments, the body enters a state of perceived threat. The nervous system shifts into defense mode. The brain begins prioritizing survival over connection, pleasure, and presence. And suddenly, a situation that should feel rewarding and intimate becomes tense, overwhelming, and stressful. This can happen to people of all ages and backgrounds: young adults, married couples, high-performing professionals, athletes, even individuals who have previously enjoyed healthy, satisfying, intimate relationships. Because anxiety is not a reflection of character, it is a physiological state. The sympathetic nervous system. To truly understand performance anxiety, we need to understand the sympathetic nervous system. This is the body's emergency response system. It is the well-known fight-or-flight mechanism that activates when the brain senses danger. When this system turns on, the body prepares itself for action. Heart rate rises. Breathing becomes faster and shallower. Muscles tighten. Sweat production increases. Blood flow is redistributed. Attention narrows sharply toward the perceived threat. In a real emergency, this response is life-saving. It helps us react quickly, stay alert, and survive danger. But during intimacy, it can become a serious obstacle, because intimacy requires something very different from survival mode. It requires vulnerability, connection, presence, trust. The sympathetic nervous system was designed to help us escape predators, and it was not designed to support emotional closeness or calm, grounded connection. The paradox of intimacy. Here's the irony: the harder someone tries to perform, the more stress their nervous system experiences, and the more stress their nervous system experiences, the harder performance becomes. This creates a powerful feedback loop. Anxiety triggers physiological changes. Those changes become noticeable. The person notices them and becomes even more anxious. The anxiety intensifies, and the cycle continues, often without pause. Many people believe they are dealing with a relationship issue, but in many cases, they are actually dealing with a nervous system regulation issue. That distinction matters, because once we understand the real mechanism, we can begin to address it more effectively. What wearables are teaching us. For decades, these internal biological changes were essentially invisible. People could only describe what they felt. They had no direct access to the body's hidden signals in real time. But today, wearable technology is changing that. We can now measure physiology directly and continuously. Heart rate variability, heart rate, respiratory rate, skin temperature, stress scores, recovery patterns, and increasingly, galvanic skin response. This measures subtle changes in skin conductivity associated with emotional arousal and sympathetic nervous system activation. For the first time, we can actually watch stress unfold as it happens. Not guess, not assume, but measure. Heart rate variability, the window into resilience. One of the most important biomarkers in this conversation is heart rate variability, or HRV. HRV measures the tiny variations between heartbeats. And contrary to what many people think, a perfectly steady heartbeat is not necessarily a sign of health. Healthy nervous systems are flexible, adaptive, responsive, resilient. Higher HRV is often associated with better stress management, improved recovery, greater emotional regulation, and stronger resilience under pressure. When performance anxiety rises, HRV often declines. This reflects a shift in the nervous system toward threat detection. The body becomes less flexible, less adaptable, more guarded, more defensive. Cortisol, the stress hormone. Now let's talk about cortisol. Cortisol is often described as the stress hormone, but cortisol is not the enemy. In fact, we need cortisol to wake up, focus, adapt, and respond to challenges. The problem occurs when cortisol remains elevated for too long, or rises unnecessarily in situations that are not truly dangerous. Performance anxiety can trigger excessive cortisol release. The body acts as though it is under threat even when no physical danger exists. Over time, this may affect sleep quality, recovery, mood, confidence, relationship satisfaction, and overall well-being. The digital mirror of the nervous system. Imagine a wearable device that detects stress before you consciously recognize it. A slight increase in heart rate, a gradual drop in HRV, a spike in skin conductance, a change in breathing rhythm. These signals may appear minutes before the individual even realizes they are becoming anxious. This is where biofeedback becomes especially powerful, because awareness creates opportunity. If we can recognize physiological escalation early enough, we may be able to intervene before the cycle fully takes over. From stress to regulated arousal. One of the most important ideas in neuroscience is the difference between stress and arousal. Not all arousal is bad. Excitement is arousal. Anticipation is arousal. Passion is arousal. The goal is not to eliminate arousal altogether. The goal is to regulate it. A healthy nervous system works best within an optimal performance window. Too little activation can lead to disengagement. Too much activation can lead to anxiety and overload. The ideal state lies somewhere in the middle. Calm, alert, present, connected. Breathing as a biological tool. One of the fastest ways to influence the nervous system is through breathing. Slow breathing, longer exhalations, intentional respiratory patterns. These techniques activate parasympathetic pathways, especially through the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is one of the body's main recovery systems. It helps slow the heart rate, reduce stress, improve emotional regulation, and bring the body back toward balance. What makes this especially remarkable is that wearable technology can often show these changes in real time. As the breath changes, the numbers change, and as the body settles, the physiology begins to reflect that shift. The role of self-monitoring. Some people worry that tracking their biology might make them more anxious, and sometimes that concern is valid. If used poorly, data can become another source of pressure. But when used correctly, biofeedback becomes educational rather than judgmental. The goal is not perfection, the goal is understanding. Patterns become visible, triggers become visible, recovery becomes visible. And over time, the individual begins to learn how their own nervous system responds under different conditions. That kind of knowledge is powerful, because understanding often reduces fear. The future of digital intimacy. Imagine future wearables capable of detecting stress escalation, emotional synchrony, relationship tension, recovery readiness, physiological compatibility, not to replace communication, not to replace trust, empathy, or human connection, but to enhance self-awareness and deepen understanding. The future of intimacy may involve recognizing not only what we feel, but also the biology underneath those feelings. The OXYZEN perspective. At OXYZEN Health Intelligence, we believe that what gets measured can become understood. Performance anxiety is not weakness, it is not failure, and it is not a character flaw. It is biology, and biology can be measured, it can be learned, and it can be improved. The nervous system is trainable, resilience is trainable, recovery is trainable, confidence is trainable, and wearable technology may help accelerate that learning process in meaningful ways. Final thought. Perhaps the most important lesson is this. Performance anxiety is rarely just about performance. It is about regulation, the ability to remain present, the ability to stay connected, the ability to keep the nervous system balanced under pressure. The future of human connection may not depend on becoming less emotional. It may depend on becoming more aware of our biology. Because understanding your nervous system may be one of the most powerful forms of self-knowledge available. I'm Dr. Yende, and this is OXYZEN Health Intelligence, and I'll leave you with one final question. If wearable technology could show you exactly when stress begins to disrupt your confidence, your relationships, and your performance, would you want to know? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next episode.